Listracanthidae is a genus of extinct chondrichthyes with uncertain affinities. We know very little about this shark even though it was around for at least 75 million years, since it's an early shark or shark relative with a cartilaginous skeleton. Cartilage doesn't fossilize very well compared to bone, so we don't have much of an idea of what the shark looked like. What we do have are spines that grew all over the fish and that probably made it look like it was covered with bristles or even weird feathers. The spines are a type of denticle that could be up to 10 centimeters. They weren't just spines, though. They were spines that had smaller spines growing from their sides, sort of like a feather has a main shaft with smaller shafts growing from the sides. Doliitis was considered the oldest articulated chondrichthyes and a transitional taxon between acanthodians and sharks. This was probably a nocturnal bottom feeder. Like spiny sharks and catfish, the leading edge of the pectoral fin was a spine. Note the ventral branchial remained between the jaws. The dorsal branchial were not preserved, but must have been located behind the jaws. The ventral carapace was retained. Ctenacanthiformes had a streamlined body with a typical shark-like appearance. It had a cartilaginous skeleton, which is common among sharks. Its size varied among species, but they were generally smaller than many modern sharks. One of its distinctive features was the presence of large, serrated dorsal fin spines. These spines likely served a defensive function, protecting the shark from predators or aiding in hunting. While specific details about the diet of Ctenacanthiformes may not be well documented, it is believed that they were carnivorous, preying on smaller fish and marine organisms. Study of 3 sets of chondrichthyes teeth from the Carboniferous of Scotland, namely the dentition of the holotype of a Ctenacanthiform shark Gudrichthyes, the dentition of a recently found, yet undescribed shark, and a group of isolated teeth probably found in a nodule, tentatively suggests that all of them represent the same species. The combined characters of these teeth show that the dentition of Gudrichthyes was moderately heterodont, of a cladodont design, in which larger teeth may have had 3, and smaller ones only 2, lateral cusps on each side of a prominent, coarsely cristated median cusp. Dracopristis is a genus of Ctenacanthiform fish that lived in North America during the Carboniferous period. These fish are generally considered to be like sharks but are also separate from true sharks, the kind that we can see swimming around today. Dracopristis had 2 large spines rising from its back and supporting 2 dorsal fins. These spines may have been for defense from other predators. Also, it had a large mouth but one not as movable as a modern shark. Its teeth were multicusped so that a hunting Dracopristis could seize and hold on to prey animals more easily. Cyvidus is the largest known member of its group, measuring 4 to 5 meters or more in total body length, possibly even up to 7 meters, based on individual teeth about 3 centimeters. The shape of the teeth suggests it targeted soft-bodied prey. Cyvidus lived in a time where Ctenacanth sharks were at their greatest diversity, spanning the globe worldwide. This shark also belonged to a group of sharks known for their flat jaws and fins with unique ornamentation sprouting as a defense. Teeth are mostly found on their own, with some accompanying the larger whole specimen. Some exceed 6 centimeters in length at the base, which is larger than the modern great white. Xenacanthiformes had a number of features that distinguished it from modern sharks. This freshwater fish was usually about 1 meter in length. The dorsal fin was ribbon-like and ran the entire length of the back and round the tail, where it joined with the anal fin. This arrangement resembles that of modern conger eels, and Xenacanthiformes probably swam in a similar manner. A distinctive spine projected from the back of the head and gave the genus its name. The spike has even been speculated to have been venomous, perhaps in a similar manner to a stingray. The teeth had an unusual V shape, and it probably fed on small crustaceans and heavily scaled paleonicid fishes. As with many xenacanthes, it is mainly known because of fossilized teeth and spines. A 2013 analysis of oxygen and strontium isotope composition of the teeth and spines of Carboniferous and Permian shark taxa was performed to infer the hydrochemistry of their ambient water, thus contributing to the controversy between an obligate freshwater or euryhaline diadromous lifestyle. Facies interpretations in the Permian of North America suggested that salinity tolerances of Xenacanthiformes were restricted to near marine environments, whereas only Orthocanthus could tolerate brackish water environments. The comparative analyses of the ontogenetic stages of the recorded specimens and their distribution along different facies and localities indicate that this species was euryhaline, diadromous with a catadromous life cycle which was strongly regulated by the semi-arid, seasonally dry tropical climate affecting western Pangaea during the early Permian. Bandringa was a unique-looking fish. The most noticeable part of this Chondrichthyes is its very long snout that made up half of its body. It fed by suction feeding, and using its long snout and needle-like spines on its cheek for hunting in murky water. Preserved gut contents include articulated arthropods. The long rostrum is supposed to have been analogous to modern sawfish. Bandringa is one of the few fossil fish that has a well-studied breeding cycle. A paper found that the fish lived a lifestyle that was the opposite of salmon, with the adults living in freshwater areas and the younger ones living in more brackish and saltwater areas, and when fully grown would swim back into the freshwater areas. This makes sense because at the time, the area of Illinois where specimens have been found was a diagonally running stream that ran from freshwater to saltwater areas. All modern species of sharks and rays are part of a single lineage of cartilaginous fish known as Neoselachians, and the closest evolutionary cousins to all of them were the Hybodontiformes. Although due to their cartilaginous skeletons Hybodontiformes are mostly known from fossilized teeth, there are still some complete specimens known that show us their overall body shape. They had two dorsal fins, each with a long spine in front, and an asymmetrically shaped tail. Some of them also had small horn-like spines on their heads. This seems to be a sexually dimorphic trait, since the ones with horns also have claspers which show they were males, and they generally had powerful jaws with teeth specialized for crushing. They were probably fairly slow swimmers most of the time, but would have still been capable of occasional bursts of higher speed, and various species were adapted to a wide range of food sources. Some had wider flatter teeth for cracking open hard-shelled seafloor invertebrates, and others were more opportunistic hunters that would have crunched on pretty much anything they could fit in their mouths. Astracanthus was one of the late Jurassic species, about 2 meters long. It had two different types of teeth in its mouth, sharper ones in the front and flatter ones in the back, suggesting it was a generalist predator eating whatever it could catch. We do know its diet at least included the fast-swimming squid-like belemnites, since some fossils preserve clusters of their internal hard skeletons in shark stomach region. During the Cretaceous they continued to do fairly well in those environments, but most of them still disappeared around the time of the end Cretaceous extinction. Since most other sharks weren't actually particularly affected by the extinction event, it's not clear whether the Hybodontiformes were more vulnerable for some reason or whether it was the ongoing competition from Neoselachians that drove the majority of them extinct at that time. Lycidas has been estimated to have had a body size range of 15 to 50 centimeters. Typical dental features of this genus include a single central cusp, base of teeth expanding towards the lingual side and riddled with vascular canals. The shape of the main cusp and large canal openings are similar to those of the Cassicidus, although latter has cusplets on both sides of the crown. The low crown teeth suggest that Lycidas was a bottom dweller that fed by crushing hard-shelled organisms. Tychodus was a large shark, previously estimated at 10 meters long based on extrapolation from tooth. The subadult specimen with the largest vertebra showed that it could reach lengths of 4 to 7 meters, so a 10 meters length is possible, but more analysis is required for verification. Unlike the colossal nectonic planktivorous whale sharks which relied upon gill rakers to acquire their food, the Tychodus had a massive arrangement of crushing plate teeth. A Tychodus jaw contains many teeth, up to 550 teeth, 220 of which are on the lower jaw and 260 in the upper jaw. These teeth were very large as well. Paleontologists believe that the largest tooth plate measured 55 centimeters in length and 45 centimeters in width. It is believed that the shape coincides with the diet of the species and their geographic locations, but the time it lived has a big part as well. While there is no solid evidence of members of the Heterotychidus species living among other durophagous sharks like members of bullhead sharks, it is believed that this Cretaceous macropredator was the precursor to crushing plate teeth seen in many similar sharks and rays. It would have predated benthic-shelled invertebrates, however Heterotychidus itself was probably not benthic but more likely to be pelagic. Paraorthacodus was one of the species known from the late Jurassic of. Reaching lengths of at least 1.3 meters, it had only one dorsal fin far back on its body, along with large pectoral fins and a low asymmetrical tail that gave it a superficial resemblance to the modern six-gill sharks. Its teeth were close in shape to those of sand tiger sharks, and it may have had a similar lifestyle, opportunistically hunting prey just above the sea floor in the waters around the continental shelf and slope. Remains of a chimera in the mouth and gut contents of a couple of Paraorthacodus fossils suggest that smaller cartilaginous fish were fairly common elements of its diet. Location of the oldest known articulated fossil shark remains, some 380 million years old. Since many of the earliest fossil shark remains are from Antarctica and Australia, paleontologist John Long has suggested that sharks may have originated in the southern hemisphere. Paleontologists have had a difficult time puzzling out what the whole animal was like in life. Antarctolamna had a stout spine in front of the long, low dorsal fin and two-pronged teeth, a combination which immediately suggests Xenacanthiformes. Aquilalamna displays an array of extremely unusual adaptations that make it unlike any living or extinct species of shark. It had a torpedo-shaped body and tail similar to that of most sharks, but also had a pair of extremely long, wing-like pectoral fins whose width from tip to tip 2 meters were wider than it was long 1.6 meters. These, combined with its broad head, have led to the hypothesis that it was a planktivorous filter feeder, suggesting a form of convergent evolution with a manta ray-like body plan, which appeared millions of years later in the fossil record. Unlike manta rays, which fly through the water by flapping their fins, Aquilalamna may have instead steadily glided through the water with the help of its slender pectoral fins, and propelled itself with its tail. The angel shark is a species of shark in the family Squatinidae, that were once widespread in the coastal waters of the northeastern Atlantic Ocean. Well adapted for camouflaging itself on the sea floor, it has a flattened form with enlarged pectoral and pelvic fins, giving it a superficial resemblance to a ray. It measures up to 2 meters long. It is a nocturnal ambush predator that buries itself in sediment and waits for passing prey, mostly benthic bony fishes, but also skates and invertebrates. An aplacental viviparous species, females bear litters of 7 to 25 pups every other year. The angel shark normally poses little danger to humans, though if provoked, it is quick to bite. Since the mid-20th century, intense commercial fishing across the angel shark's range has decimated its population via bycatch. It is now locally extinct or nearly so across most of its northern range, and the prospects of the remaining fragmented subpopulations are made more precarious by its slow rate of reproduction. As a result, the International Union for Conservation of Nature has assessed this species as critically endangered. Although this shark is a bottom dweller and appears harmless, it can inflict painful lacerations if provoked, due to its powerful jaws and sharp teeth. It may bite if a diver approaches the head or grabs the tail. They have a unique way of breathing compared to most other benthic fish. They do not pump out water from the oropharyngeal cavity like other fish. Instead, they use gill flaps located under their body to pump out water during respiration. Doing so also allows them to be more discreet and prevent detection. Saw sharks and sawfish are cartilaginous fish possessing large saws. These are the only two fish that have a long blade-like snout. Although they are similar in appearances, saw sharks are distinct from sawfish. Sawfish are not sharks, but a type of ray. The gill slits of the sawfishes are positioned on the underside like a ray, but the gill slits of the saw shark are positioned on the side like a shark. Sawfish can have a much larger size, lack barbels, and have evenly sized teeth rather than alternating teeth of the saw shark. Clear difference is that a sawfish has no barbels and a saw shark has a prominent pair halfway along the saw. The saw shark uses these like other bottom fish, as a kind of antennae, feeling the way along the ocean bottom until it finds some prey of interest. The long-nosed saw shark has unique physical characteristics which include a long, thin and flattened snout. Midway down the snout, nasal barbels protrude on both sides of the snout. It is unique among the family by having a longer snout than any of its counter-species. It prefers to swim in both the open sea and coastal regions from the surface to a depth of 600 meters. It is known to mainly prey on small crustaceans. It uses its barbels to detect prey on the ocean floor, which it then hits with its snout to immobilize it. Like all other saw sharks, the common saw shark has a long snout with rows of small teeth and barbels on either side. The kitefin shark is found sporadically around the world, usually close to the sea floor at depths of 200 to 600 meters with a sizable oil-filled liver to maintain neutral buoyancy. This shark is able to cruise slowly through the water while expending little energy. The kitefin shark, the largest luminous vertebrate on record, has a slender body with a very short, blunt snout, large eyes and thick lips. Its teeth are highly differentiated between the upper and lower jaws, with the upper teeth small and narrow and the lower teeth large, triangular and serrated. Armed with large teeth and a strong bite, the kitefin shark is a powerful, solitary predator that takes many different types of prey, ranging from fishes to cephalopods, crustaceans, worms and possibly carrion. The kitefin shark is fished commercially for its meat, skin and liver oil, primarily by Portugal and Japan. The low reproductive rate of this species renders it susceptible to overfishing and, coupled with known population declines, has led it to be assessed as vulnerable. The white-tailed dogfish is a very rare sleeper shark of the family Somniosidae, found from the eastern Indian Ocean round southern Australia to New Zealand. At depths of between 150 and 500 meters, it is a rare species known only from a few specimens taken by tuna longliners and trawlers. The dorsal fins are small, the pectoral fins are angular, and there is an asymmetric caudal fin with a dark-tipped upper lobe. Coloration is gray and white, mottled with large brown or black spots, the tail mostly white with black tips. The cookie-cutter shark occurs in warm, oceanic waters worldwide, particularly near islands, and has been recorded as deep as 3-7 kilometers. It migrates vertically up to 3 kilometers every day, approaching the surface at dusk and descending with the dawn. The name cookie cutter refers to its feeding method of gouging round plugs, as if cut out with a cookie cutter, out of larger animals. Marks made by cookie-cutter sharks have been found on a wide variety of marine mammals and fishes, and on submarines, undersea cables and even human bodies. They have adaptations for hovering in the water column, and likely rely on stealth and subterfuge to capture more active prey. Its dark collar seems to mimic the silhouette of a small fish, while the rest of its body blends into the downwelling light via its ventral photophores. When a would-be predator approaches the lure, the shark attaches itself using its suctorial lips and specialized pharynx and neatly excises a chunk of the flesh using its bandsaw-like set of lower teeth. The pygmy shark is a widespread, oceanic species that has been found in numerous locations in the Pacific, Indian and Atlantic Oceans. It is known to use a wide range of depths, from the surface to 1,500 meters. It is one of the smallest shark species in the world, reaching a total length of 27 centimeters. It is thought to be too small to be frequently captured in most fisheries. Therefore, there are no apparent threats to the species. Given this, and its large global and depth range, it is assessed as least concern. Dogfish sharks experience one of the longest gestation periods of any organism, which can last from around 18 to 24 months. During spawning season, which occurs during the colder months of winter, females can lay anywhere from 2 to 12 eggs, which develop ovoviviparously, and the pups are birthed as live young, with about 5 to 6 in each litter of pups, mainly depending on the size of the female. Reproduction occurs in the winter in offshore waters, while pups are normally born in the warmer and deeper offshore waters where it is harder for humans and predators to reach them. The reproductive cycle begins when females produce several large eggs of yellow coloring, which become fertilized once they pass through the shell gland and are wrapped in what is called a candle, or a kind of reproductive capsule. Lifespan estimates based on analysis of vertebral centra and annuli in the dorsal spines range from 35 to 54 years. Though sharks across separate ecosystems do favor similar diets despite their location, their diet diversity does slightly differ depending on the ecosystem. Specifically, short-nosed spurdog sharks live off the east coast of Australia show an increased level in their diet diversity when compared to other population groups in Australia. Size also plays a role in diet. While larger, sexually mature sharks typically go after prize prey such as mollusks, smaller sharks rely more heavily on crustaceans. This is primarily because squids, octopuses and other mollusks on the menu for the short-nosed spurdog are often free-swimming and easier to catch. This makes it more difficult for smaller sharks to rely on them as a source of food. Instead, the smaller short-nosed spurdogs will rely on benthic prey, since benthic prey live on the surface of the ocean floor. The gulper shark is a long and slender dogfish usually about 3 feet in length, generally found in deep, murky waters all around the world. It is a light grayish-brown, paler ventrally, with a long snout and large greenish eyes. This deep water shark has 2 dorsal fins with long, grooved spines and the second dorsal fin smaller than the first. Its upper teeth are blade-like and lower have finely serrated edges. This tertiary consumer feeds on mainly fish such as bony fish, but also cephalopods such as squid and other invertebrates like crustaceans. It is currently an endangered species mainly because of exploitation by humans and their abnormally long gestation period and low fecundity, preventing their population from recovering. Because of the depth of their habitat, they are considered little to no threat to humans. The velvet dogfish, the only member of the genus Zamius, is a small sleeper shark of the family Somniacidae, found around the world from the surface to 2,000 meters. Its length is up to 85 centimeters. Although sharks within the family Somniacidae have generally been accepted to be non-luminous, it has photophores on its ventral epidermis. Its reproduction is ovoviviparous. The unusual shape and sizable, oily liver of the prickly dogfish suggests it is a slow swimmer that can hover over the sea floor with minimal effort. It probably hunts for small, bottom-dwelling invertebrates and fishes, perhaps facilitated by its large nostrils and labial papillae. This species is aplacental viviparous. Females have been recorded containing 7 or 8 mature eggs in their ovaries, and one was gestating 7 embryos. Found near the sea floor over outer continental and insular shelves and upper slopes, the prickly dogfish is thought to be a slow-moving predator of small benthic organisms. It is aplacental viviparous, with females giving birth to litters of around 7 pups. This species is an uncommon bycatch of bottom trawls. The Greenland shark has the longest known lifespan of all vertebrate species, estimated to be between 250 and 500 years. It is among the largest extant species of shark. It reaches sexual maturity at about 150 years of age, and pups are born alive after an estimated gestation period of 8 to 18 years. It is a generalist feeder, consuming a variety of available foods. As an adaptation to living at depth, it has 3 kinds of hemoglobin and a high concentration of trimethylamine N-oxide in its tissues to increase buoyancy. This causes the meat to be toxic to mammals. As it lives in the cold depths of the Arctic and North Atlantic, isolated from human activity, it is not known to be a threat to humans, and no attacks have been recorded. The shark is often infested by the copepod Amatocoida elongata, a crustacean which attaches itself to the shark's eyes. It was speculated that the copepod may display bioluminescence and thus attract prey for the shark in a mutualistic relationship, but this hypothesis has not been verified. These parasites also damage the eyeball in several ways, leading to almost complete blindness. This does not seem to reduce the life expectancy or predatory ability of Greenland sharks, due to their strong reliance on smell and hearing. Due to living in frigid depths, the sleeper shark's liver oil does not contain squalene, which would solidify into a dense, non-buoyant mass. Instead, the low-density compounds in the shark's liver are diacylglycerol ethers and triacylglycerol, which maintain their fluidity even at the lowest temperatures. Also, they store very little urea in their skin, but like other elasmobranchs, have high concentrations of urea and trimethylamine oxide in their tissues as osmoprotectants and to increase their buoyancy. Trimethylamine oxide also serves to counteract the protein destabilizing tendencies of urea and pressure. Its presence in the tissues of both elasmobranch and teleost fish has been found to increase with depth. Because food is relatively scarce on the deep sea floor, the sleeper shark is able to store food in its capacious stomach. The sleeper shark's jaws are able to produce a powerful bite due to their short and transverse shape. The upper jaw teeth of the sleeper shark are spike-like, while the lower jaw teeth are oblique cusps and overlapping bases. This arrangement allows grasping and sawing of food too large to swallow. Blunt-nosed six-gill sharks are typically found in deep-sea environments, often ranging from depths of about 200 to 2,500 meters. They are known to inhabit both continental and insular slopes. As the name suggests, these sharks have 6 pairs of gill slits, which is a characteristic that distinguishes them from most other sharks. Most sharks have only 5 gill slits. These sharks are primarily nocturnal, meaning they are more active during the night. They tend to stay in deeper waters during the day and ascend to shallower depths at night to feed. Like many deep-sea species, they have a relatively slow reproductive rate. Females have a small number of offspring, and the gestation period is quite long, lasting for about 12 to 24 months. Bluntnose six-gill sharks play a crucial role in deep-sea ecosystems as predators. Their presence helps regulate the populations of other marine species in their habitat. Despite their deep-sea habitat, they are vulnerable to overfishing. They are often caught as bycatch in deep-sea fisheries, and their slow reproductive rate makes them susceptible to population decline. Broadnose seven-gill shark is also known as simply seven-gill and was formerly known as cow shark. It is called seven-gill due to its 7 gill slits. Because of this, it was listed along with the sharp-nosed seven-gill shark by Guinness World Records as having the most gill slits. An opportunistic predator, it preys on a great variety of animals and has been found at a depth of 570 meters in offshore waters. It has been found to feed on fishes, marine mammals and carrion, and will also feed on whatever it finds such as shark egg cases, sea snails and remains of rats and humans. It is a frequent top predator in shallow waters and has comb-like teeth, with the upper teeth having slender, smooth-edged cusps to swallow small enough prey whole and lower teeth broad enough to bite prey to pieces. These sharks occasionally hunt in packs to take down larger prey, using tactics such as stealth to succeed. After feeding, it slowly digests the food for several hours and days and can go weeks until eating again. Rolphodon is an extinct genus of shark in the family Chlamydoselachidea. It is closely related to the extant frilled sharks, which it can be differentiated from by tooth morphology. The largest species reached 5 to 6 meters in length. The holotype specimen is a large partial tooth, 20 millimeters long. This specimen was described in 2002, during the beginning of the Paleoangola project. It and Chlamydoselachus have similar tooth morphology, the differentiation being Rolphodon teeth having more erect morphology and stout cusps in the side view. The frilled shark is considered a living fossil, because of its primitive, anguilliform physical traits, such as a dark brown color, amphistole, and 2 meters long body, which has dorsal, pelvic and anal fins located towards the tail. The common name, frilled shark, derives from the fringed appearance of the 6 pairs of gill slits at the shark's throat. The sharks usually live near the ocean floor, near biologically productive areas of the ecosystem. To live on a diet of cephalopods, smaller sharks, and bony fish, the frilled shark practices deal vertical migration to feed at night at the surface of the ocean. When hunting food, the frilled shark curls its tail against a rock and moves like an eel, bending and lunging to capture and swallow whole prey with its long and flexible jaws, which are equipped with 300 recurved, needle-like teeth. Usually caught as bycatch in commercial fishing, the frilled shark has some economic value as a meat and as fish meal, and has been caught from depths of 1570 meters, although its occurrence is uncommon below 1,200 meters.